Okay, hopefully that's working. Good morning, everybody. All right, let me get my computer straightened out. All right, excellent. Good morning, all. This is Samantha with Melco. It's the application team, and this is our DesignShop Talk. So I believe, yeah, it looks like it's working. Excellent. So welcome, everybody, back to the new year. Hopefully everyone had a good holiday season and is able to get through with minimal stress. I know I'm still trying to get back into everything myself. All right, good morning. All right. Yeah, I'm not always the best speaker. Okay, so questions that we have. Remember, always you can email your questions in to applications@melco.com. And, if you want it for the Design Shop Talk, you can even put, add it to the Design Shop Talk in the title or something. Of course, you don't have to do that, but it's always there as an option. All right, so some of the questions we had. Good morning. And a reminder, if I'm peering off to the side, it's to go make sure I don't miss a question, because I only can see about 4 comments at a time, and it won't let me go back while I'm live. All right. I saw where you can jog a hoop left and right. How do we do that, and what's the benefit? Is there a place in the manual for all the shortcut keys? Okay, so let's start with left and right. So to move the pantograph, which is the hoop, what controls your X and Y movement, on your keypad, you hold the hoop button and then left, right, up, down. So the 4 arrows on the keypad, while you push the third one down on the right-hand side, the one that looks kind of like a 11 by 17 hoop. So you hold that down and then use the arrows to move the pantograph around. When you do that, what you'll see is on the OS, you'll notice the design moves around within the hoop that's shown on the screen. Okay, so the computer is showing you where the design is going to sew out based on how you move it around. Why do you want to do that? Well, what if you don't want to sew in the middle of the hoop? I know I don't always hoop stuff perfectly centered. In fact, rarely do I ever hoop it perfectly centered. So if you want to sew up to the top right or somewhere else within the hoop, you can just move it around. Now, if excuse me. All right, so if you, for instance, want to make sure, let's say you're going to sew off to one side, but not only did you hoop it not centered, but you also hooped it crooked, or you want the name to go over a pocket or something like that. Hi, Scott. Well, what you would want to use then is laser alignment. And there's a bunch of videos. That was actually another question that was asked. There's a nice video down here that's on the Melco's page, YouTube education channel, that shows how to do laser alignment. I know on both my personal page as well as several of the Design Shop Talks, we've also done it. But this video right here focuses specifically on how to do laser alignment. And really what that allows you to do is to take any design, regardless of how you hooped it, and tell by using a series of commands on the keypad. You move to point 1, you tell it here's point 1 with a series of keys, strokes, which the video goes over. And then you go to the next point, do your keystroke, do the centering command. It'll rotate and center your design on whatever that line is you specified. What is that helpful for? Making sure logos are perfectly straight and centered over a pocket. That would be one. You can also use it to do alignments of multiple designs. Why are we angry? I see angry faces. All right, so there's that. All right, the overlap function, I'm not quite sure what you meant by that, but I'll show you some of them. All right, so let's say you had a design and maybe a border around it. Okay, so not quite sure what you're wanting. Oh, there was a question, how do I center? So to take the entire design and center it on the origin, up here is your center design. If you want to take these 2 objects and center them, I can select them both. So you have to select them both. And then my toolbars are probably not where yours are. This one is usually somewhere over here. But you'll see these guys appear, and these are all your alignments where you can align to top if you want. But here I want to center align horizontally and vertically. So do both of those. And now my border is realigned to my shape. Okay. All right. So overlap. If you're talking about overlap within a fill, for instance, let's say your start is here and your end is there. When you go to sew it, of course, it's going to sew out, go one way, it'll walk up to the top, and then it'll sew back down so that it ends at the same spot. Maybe. Oh no, because my start and stop didn't move around. Let's do that. Start and stop in the middle. All right, so anytime you want overlap where it's going to join over it to make sure you don't have a gap in the middle, what you can do is come over to Advanced and fill overlap lines. This is how many times it's going to go back over and sew over something, so how far. So that's a way you can prevent gaps in there. Or you can always just make it sew from one end to the other without having that where it's going to come back in to the center point. Okay. So that's one. Now, if on the other hand, you're asking about overlap between multiple elements, so like this one relative to my single line. So let's say the single line was actually, I don't know, a left. All right. So these are line to line. And now I want to make sure I have overlap. Okay. Angela, I've seen your question on the software. I'll talk about that in a moment. Just if you want to look it up while I'm talking, look in the release notes of the software and you'll see that the software for the older machines is the active feed's gone up 7 to 10 points from what you used to have. But okay, I'll get over that in a minute. All right, so here I've got a border and a shape, and I want to make sure that there's an overlap. Well, one, make the shape bigger, or you can do object offset. That's another way to make it bigger, right? So if I offset outline, I can tell it how much larger all the way around I want to make it. So let's say I want to do 7 points larger. Okay, now I have a 7-point overlap. So that's one way you can do it. You can also go into your properties and under pull compensation for your pull offset, make that something larger. So 4 points, that's going to add 4 points of offset. So from where my wireframe was drawn, you can see that now I'm over stitching past that line by whatever offset you've specified. Now that's only in the direction of sewing, so, or in this direction, it doesn't make it larger top to bottom because my stitch direction is in the 0. It's running directly left to right. So there's, that doesn't help me from top to bottom because of how my stitch direction is. All right. If you have multiple shapes, you can use offset or like an actual offset of offset outline, or you can use pull compensation. All right. So I'm not sure if that helped, but with overlap, there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. I like using offset outline quite a bit personally. Okay. When drawing a shape, is there a way to get straight lines? Yes, so let's do that. It's just the alternate key, but here. So when we're drawing, let's say I want to just use a straight line for my walk input. So if you just left click, now you'll notice my cursor can go anywhere, right? At any angle. Of course you can turn on snap, but I know snap I don't use. But if I hold the alternate key down, look at what that does. It locks it to perfectly horizontal, perfectly vertical, or at 15-degree increments all the way around. All right. So if I hold my alternate key, drag across. All right. Up, over, down. I can make it whatever I want. All right. That's with my walk input. Now I can also do that same thing with any of the digitizing tools. So let's say I'm doing a single line center, which is a constant width column. So it's something that has every stitch is the same length, right? So I can hold alternate to lock it down. Let's do there, hold another alternate to make it horizontal, I can hold the Shift key and Enter to close the shape. And then my default width is 20 points. I can see that above the cursor up here. So if I want the default width, I can hit Enter, or if I want to draw how long it is, I can draw it out. And there's my, and that was just doing 2 left clicks. All right, so you can see I've locked it to horizontal. I've got my curve by doing a right click along there. So if I select the wireframe, you can see the right click. And then I've got my left clicks, alternate to hold it straight. Okay. When changing up here, when moving a wireframe point, the Bezier angles do not change. Is there a way to move the Bezier angle to adjust the adjacent wireframe point? Yeah. So that's with these little, correct, I'm not sure if this is what you're asking, but I can change the curves for those Beziers by just moving these around. Now you'll notice when it's a dot, a curved point, they go together. Now if you only want to change one side, you have to convert this to a straight point first. So you can double click on it, tell it to go to a straight point, and now it'll let me adjust each side individually to whatever I want to do. Okay, so then they behave differently. Did that answer your question, Brett? Hopefully. All right. Well, we look, see if that answered it. Let's go back. Okay, so we covered the alternate. Yeah. All right. What's the fastest way to rotate something 90 degrees within DesignShop? Okay, so 90. I'll show you both 90 and 180. All right. So the quickest way to rotate something is one, select it. All right. I'm going to zoom in on this guy. So I'm going to select it. And then down here, there's a W and an H. All right. If you click on either one of those, this box will come up. And it's the same box either way. That's why I said it doesn't matter where you click on the W or the H. Just click one of them. And then hit 9 in front of the 0 and enter. And now you have a 90-degree rotation. Okay. 180 rotations. So again, just to do that, select whatever it is you want to rotate. Click on the W or the H, hit 9, enter, and you're done. Now 9 in front of the 0. Technically, I'm typing 90, not just 9, but okay. All right, 180-degree rotations. This is a bad example for that. Let me, I don't like that. Let's see. Let's go open something that's easier to look at. So on your C drive, you have a folder called Designs. Shift Enter automatically closes a shape, any shape. So if, let's say, I'll do that again in a moment. So Shift Enter, I'll go over that. All right. So 180-degree rotations. Again, you select whatever you want. Down here, you have a vertical mirror and horizontal mirror. It doesn't matter what order you click them in. Click one and then the other. And that will give you a mirror, the 180 rotation. And again, it doesn't matter if you do vertical, then horizontal, or then horizontal, then vertical. As long as you hit each one of them once, you'll get a 180-degree rotation super fast. Okay, now for the Shift Enter thing, let me show that again. I showed it when drawing. Okay, so let's say I'm going to draw a heart. Ugly heart, but let's draw a heart. All right, so if I want to close my shape, so yeah, this is really ugly. I'm sorry. It would help if I turn on grid lines or something else. All right, so now I just want a straight line going from what I just clicked to the starting point. Shift Enter will automatically close that for me. All right, so that'll close the shape. And there, I have a really ugly heart. Now if I want to change a point, I can hold Shift and then left click. Shift and left click will change those to curves. And then I can modify them around and adjust the Bezier handles as needed to make the shape look better. So I've got, you know, maybe I want that one a little less or more. Now, I think what you're asking is if I hold this and shift, I believe. Nope. All right. So shift and drag on a point will automatically move your Bezier handles around. Okay, so shift and left click and drag. Notice, see what that's doing? It's automatically dragging the Bezier handles around as transitions between them. Okay, so maybe the other one you have is, let's say I've got a thing, a shape, I add a point. If I hold my control key down, so I literally click on the control key, left click and drag, that'll automatically adjust the curve to kind of make the Beziers automatically adjust to make them look smoother from side to side. So maybe that's what you were asking about. So again, add a point, control, and drag. It gives you a perfect arch. Okay, did that help at all, Brett? We'll see. All right, what other questions do we have? So we did that one. Fastest way to rotate. Is there only a way to center one part of a design automatically? So I showed that, but I'll show it again. Where's DesignShop? There it is. Okay, so delete that. Awesome. Finally got there. All right, so let's say, I don't know, what should we center on this? A circle? I don't know. I need to come up with cute designs that I can draw for y'all, and that way it's... All right, I'm gonna rotate this 45. That's not cute. Oh well. All right, let's say I want to center this to my heart. So you got to select both items you want to center. So select one, hold the control key, select the other. That's one way. I can draw a box around both. There's another. Up here you have vertical center, and then you have horizontal center. So that'll center these exactly. It's a poorly drawn thing. So there you go. So using those is how you can center objects to one another. Now to center the entire design, that's this one right here. That will center it to the origin, which is where the red crosshairs are. Okay, so we've got that. What else do we have? Video on centering with the laser. There's a whole bunch of them. This one's about 45 minutes. I know if you go to my personal YouTube, there's one I did a long time ago. It's kind of cheesy with pencil drawings and me pointing at things and trying to record on my phone, and it's not exactly well done, but it shows it as well as setting up the design for that. In the manual, you can also find the instructions. Where did I put it? All right, let me go to Milko. I'm just going to go search for it so you can see how to find them. I think it's in this manual. I always end up searching in the wrong one. Okay, so let's see. Bobbin, Keypad, sewing designs. It's still loading, otherwise I just do a Control F and find, but it won't find it. So I'm searching the slow way. Laser alignment. Yeah, so if you go to the main OS, all right, so if you click on that, there you go. These give you the codes for it. All right, so when I say there's a bunch of keypad keys that can do different things, I will say there's a whole bunch of them. So you look at that, there's 6 different ways you can do it. I highly suggest that if you're just learning laser alignment for the first time, stick with one of them, learn it and know it well before you try to throw more variables in, because I don't know, I think this one's the easiest to understand. You know, you move the pantograph using your hoop and arrows till you find point 1, and then you're going to click laser left. Then you move to wherever your second point is that you're going to draw a line between them, and again you hit laser left. Then immediately after that, you hit laser bullseye. What that does is now the computer does math, right? So it says, all right, here's my straight line, the points that they gave me, that they told me here. And all right, I'm going to draw that line. I'm going to find the middle of it, and then I'm going to rotate the design and put it exactly centered on the line that I was just told where it is, and position the design so it's perfectly in line with it. It's rotated and centered on there. Okay, that's easy to understand, I think. The only thing that's a little bit weird is it's laser left, laser left. Okay, it feels like it should be laser left, laser right, or something else, but it's laser left, laser bullseye. That's the key code. That's what it is. Laser left, laser right actually is a left justify. So watch the video. It works really well. What other questions do we have? I don't have any others. There was one that was sent in that I had on email about a trim. I haven't had a chance to open up the file, so I'll do that and either email back directly or add it to next week as well. What other questions do we have? Any? When given an OFM file from a digitizer, how do we open and change it? Okay, so it kind of depends. So what I mean by depends, if the digitizer gives you a native OFM, and native meaning they digitized it within DesignShop, what you're going to get, oh my gosh, my children are calling me left and right. Okay, so here, what you'll get is an OFM that no, this is what you get if they don't do it native within DesignShop. You get these expanded things. All right, and expanded things you can't really modify. All right, so if you really need to know whatever digitizer you used, did they do it in DesignShop or did they do it in something else and save it off as an OFM? And the way you can tell is if you open up the OFM file in DesignShop and you see a bunch of expanded stuff, well, they did not give you a native file. So there's no real easy way to edit it. Now, can you? Yes. It's just not the most fun activity. So this is along the same lines. If you get a expanded file from a digitizer, how do you edit it? Depends on what you want to edit. So if all you're going to edit is, for instance, if I go into the scale mode, so let's say this star, I want to select it, right click, go into scale. Down here there are some things I can do. I can play with pull compensation. Pull compensation will make things bolder, so it'll overstitch it a little bit, right? So that's what you have here. You can do it by offset or by percent. You can do columns, which are like your satin stitches, or your fill. So you can adjust both of them here. Down here, you can do density adjustments and whatnot. All right. If you get an EMB file from the digitizer, that's another format from Wilcom, so it's editable within Wilcom, not within DesignShop. So it's all, what format of software are they digitizing in? Okay, so the EMB files, again, there's very minimal you can do with them unless you have that software to be able to modify them. So with the expandeds, of course, you can go into properties and go down to scale. So that's where you'll find the pull offset, the density adjustments, and that sort of thing. You can go into stitch by stitch adjustments, and what I mean by that, select it over here. You can say expanded point editing mode, and now see all those dots on the screen? Those are all individual needle penetrations. Okay, so I can select one of those, and not that you want to do this, but I can move that over here. I can add points by left clicking. So left click on the point. You can see I'm making a big mess out of my star right now, but you can add and move points around. Not the most efficient way to digitize, but it certainly works. People used to punch things manually, one stitch at a time like this. So it can be done. Any way to transfer to DS from Wilcom? I don't think you can and save the wireframes. I think you can save off as DSTXP, any of that, but I don't believe you can bring the wireframe data with it. I know Scott's on. Maybe he can correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't use Wilcom. I only use DesignShop, so I can't speak to that 100%. I've watched lots of other videos just so I know somewhat about it. But okay, so this is wireframe now, or this is expanded editing. Now you can also convert to wireframe. Be careful when you do that sort of thing. It doesn't always do what you think it's going to. So how would I do that? Let's make that where I can actually see it. Right click, operations, convert object to wireframe, and now I have something that is now editable within DesignShop. Okay, so now I can add points, I can change the density, I can change the underlay. See, this is the underlay it put there. It actually broke this up into different elements, so maybe I want to take this one and combine them. Okay, so now I've combined them. Oops, I got another piece over here. I'll combine that. So you see, you can now start making modifications to it and deleting anything that's extraneous and, you know, so on and so forth. Yes, so Sandy, the question is, if you want to be able to work in DesignShop with a native file, what you'll want to ask your digitizer for is a native OFM file, which means they have to digitize it in DesignShop. There are digitizers out there that do that. So it's just a matter of finding one that will. I know of several. All right. What other questions do we have? Awesome. I don't see any others typed in, and I went through my short list. I know we're just getting back into these, so be sure to send in your questions. Oh, there you go. So Scott says if the EMB file is version 1.8 below, you can read it. So if from your other software, if you save it off as a v1.8 version of an EMB file, it sounds like we can open it in DesignShop. All right. And keep your wireframes. Any other questions? I don't see any others typed in. All right. Well, I hope this was helpful for you. Again, we're going to try to go back to doing these on a weekly Friday basis. So save up your questions, type them in ahead of time, send them into applications. I'm going to lunch with Travis asked, was I able to talk to my husband about doing a video about the scanner? Let me talk to him, and I'll talk to Melco to see what they want me to do with that, because, yeah. Fill presets, default to 18. I don't understand that question, I'm sorry. So, fill presets, properties. My favorites, make a vertical arch and lettering. Okay. My favorites are using fill with a density. I pick my stitch angle based on whatever I want and go with that. So I don't quite know what the default to 18 is. Sorry. How do I make a vertical arc set in lettering? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so the question was, which of these presets are favorite? I tend to use, which ones do I use? I use the default a lot just because lazy. I like these looks, the ones that are ribbed. It's a personal preference. So 18, any of these that have strong ribs, I just think are pretty. So I tend to use those just because I like them. Other than that, auto split I use a lot on wider columns that aren't quite big enough that I want to make them fill, like straight flat fills, but I still like that look, so I do that a lot on wider lettering. So I'd say probably 18.2 and auto are the ones I use the most, with the exception of default. All right, arc. If I type in text, all right, and I want to make it an arch, I go into the properties of that, change the line type to arc. If I want it to go sideways, I change it 90. So is that what you were meaning? So to have it wrap around. I'm not sure. I think if you want the text to actually be stacked different, you would actually have to rotate them all individually and move them around, which doesn't seem like a fun idea to me, but you can. So I can rotate this guy around and then left click and drag it around the arch. Let's drag that one, rotate, and grab the X and move it. So I don't know what it was you were looking at. This sort of thing. Letters are still straight up and down. Okay, so like similar to what I have here, just arched. So straight up and down. All I'm doing is selecting the box with the H and or for each letter, and then moving them around. Oh, another way you could do that, it would only work one way though. Well, I'll show you anyway. So you can come into here under spacing, and there's horizontal and vertical spacing, and you can use negative numbers so that things will go down. Now notice that doesn't let me go out and back in, but you can run through and try different things here to make them stack. Move over. I've made a large mess here. All right. What other questions? Okay. What did I... Oh, that's true. Transform outline. Okay. What strike did I use to combine images in a design? All right. So if I have overlapping things, the key is they have to be overlapping somehow. All right. And they don't even have to be the same color. Okay. So you select one, hold the control key, select the other. And up here, that's combine elements. I tend to use icons a lot, but you can also go right click down to operations and click on combine elements. All right. And that will combine them for you. All right. What other questions do we have? So combine elements, right click, operation. Oh, it doesn't show up because I have nothing to combine. Here we go. Draw another. That one and that one, right click, operations, combine elements. Or I just use the icons. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I hope this was helpful for everyone this week. Remember to send in your questions. Let's see. So with lettering that overlaps, you can combine that as well. Yes. You're going to lose wireframes doing that. So most lettering that is created, it has satin stitches that run around, right? So if you take it, convert it over to wireframe, you'll still keep those satin stitches that form like a script letter. But if you select it all and combine it, it's going to flatten it out into a solid fill, and you lose that detail that you get when you're digitizing them all as separate items. Okay. So the question was, so with lettering that overlaps, you can combine that as well? Yes, if you convert it to wireframe, but you lose detail. All right. Cool. All right. Well, I'll wait a second, 1 or 2 more minutes, or a little bit, see if anyone else types something in. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. Sending your questions, email them. Remember, oh, I don't know, I think it's if you didn't know, new videos are out on Melco's YouTube. So if you go, here, I'll show you. If you go to the Education and Training YouTube, which is what this is right here, and then click on Playlists. Yes, that's, Gina asks, is there a move overlap? Yes, that instead of combine, you say subtract, and it will get rid of the overlap that way. All right, so if I click, oops, no, I don't want to watch a video. Especially not one of me. No. Come on, go back. All right, so if I click on playlist this time, you'll see over here there are 2 new playlists, and notice how many videos are in them. There's a lot of them. So getting started in Melco OS using the advanced interface or the simplified interface. So there's a lot of good data out there. Is DesignShop compatible with Janome Embroider Machine? Yeah, you just save off as a JEF file. So the DesignShop is compatible with anything for the most part. I mean, you save off in whatever format your machine wants. So it's not, you know, the OS itself, not OS, the DesignShop itself is not machine specific. You would just take your design, do File, Save As, and if you need a Janome, you would, you know, SO or a JEF, whatever file type your machine likes. So there's a bunch of them. There it is, JEF. And you'd save it off. It would save an expanded format that you can use on your machine. All right. Well, I hope this was helpful for today, and every Friday we'll be back, hopefully, and to answer any questions. Ah, excellent. Scott put the videos on how to find them. The link up there for you guys to look at later. Check them out. They're cool. The guys did a great job. All right. I'm going to call it a day for now, and I will talk to you guys next time. All right. Have a good one. Happy New Year, everyone. Bye.